Chainsaw Man is insane, bloody, and chaotic. It's an anime that throws you off guard from the beginning, with a wide variety of characters, amazing animation, and a story that keeps you on edge. But you already know that. But if there's one part of the show I wish gets talked about more often, it would be its soundtrack. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I'm going to spend the video just talking about my love for Chainsaw Man's original soundtrack for the anime that came out a while back. For me, the soundtrack elevates the entire viewing experience of the anime. It's chaotic, emotional, cinematic, and creates this atmosphere that really pulls you into the world of Chainsaw Man. So the soundtrack was composed by Kensuke Ushio. You might be familiar with his work on Devilman Crybaby, A Silent Voice, and more recently, Downtime. Most of his projects tend to have drastically different tones from what you'd expect from a regular anime. That's what made him a perfect fit for Chainsaw Man, a show that blends horror, absurdity, and grunge in ways that feels disorienting, yet deeply grounded. Ushio's sound is hard to define. It ranges from being glitchy, abrasive, and distorted to being soft, ambient, and melodic. His sounds don't just match the visuals, it adds layers to them, mirroring the tone of the story and its visual presentation. While working on the anime, Ushio took heavy influence from the original manga, saying he wanted the soundtrack to reflect the chaotic, messy, yet strangely impressive feeling through the music being composed. But enough of that, let's get into the soundtrack. A lot of the soundtrack sets the atmosphere for a scene. From the opening seconds of a track being played, a tone is set to emphasize what is or could be taking place. Tension would build with mechanical drones, broken rhythms, and distant echoes that make you feel like something is always lurking just off screen. The door conveys a hauntingly atmospheric experience that captures the show's dark, introspective tone, blending ambient textures with subtle electronic layers. The track builds tension and evokes a sense of unease and anticipation. I also like that the door is a fitting name, as it could symbolize a concept of the unknown to be discovered, hidden truths, or pivotal choices to be made in that scene. Search and Destroy is a subtle but aggressive composition that mirrors the chaotic and violent world of the anime. It has these electronic beats and distorted rhythms that creates a sense of urgency and danger while underscoring the brutal and unforgiving environment the characters navigate. The track structure is erratic, with sudden shifts in tempo and texture, reflecting the unpredictable nature of the show's narrative. And a personal favorite of mine, Crawler. This track gives a haunting, fluctuating tone that creates an atmosphere of unease and psychological tension. This track was used in a scene in a later episode where Makima had a meeting with the Yakuza to negotiate a deal. And I like how the slow, eerie shifts in the track mirrors the Yakuza's growing fear and confusion, highlighting Makima's subtle yet overwhelming control. The unsettling shifts in the track perfectly mirrors Makima's mysterious and chilling presence. Her calm demeanor, contrasted with the tension in the room, is reflected in the track, and the sudden intensification of the sound highlights her subtle but powerful control, while the quieter moments amplify her enigmatic nature. If there's a track to explain who this character is, it's perfect. It conveys Makima's psychological dominance and the fear she's able to instill in others, enhancing the atmosphere of mystery, danger, and the manipulation that surrounds her. It's not about epic or grand-scale set pieces, it's about unease. The track often feels like a slow burn panic attack. It mirrors the way the story unfolds, a quiet dread, sudden violence, and the emotional fallout. You would expect high-octane music in a show full of ultra-violence, right? But the anime doesn't go for traditional hype tracks. Instead, you get glitchy pulses, distorted beats, and eerie silence broken by sonic chaos. During action scenes, the music doesn't follow every punch. It follows the feeling of the fight, the desperation, the confusion, this rawness. It's closer to a psychological thriller score than an action OST, and it works perfectly. I also like that for most of these tracks, there's a motif with the idea of a chainsaw revving up and ready to go. Chainsaw attacks embody the chaotic energy of the anime's intense action scenes. With a combination of aggressive electronic beats and distorted sounds, this track builds up to a sense of urgency and violence. The composition captures the raw energy expected of Chainsaw Man. Brutal Life offers a darker tone that features heavy, pulsating rhythms and dissonant melodies, making an emphasis on the chaos being generated on the track. It's the kind of music that plays when someone is forced to make a hard choice mid-fight or when the violence feels more in your face. The fast-paced energy adds weight to the action set pieces and gives a sense of grunge in the setting the fight takes place. Sword of Hunter introduces a more dramatic rendition of the main theme for the soundtrack, Edge of Chainsaw. With the use of dark electronic undercurrents, it's got a sense of scale and build-up, perfect with the scenes where the tension escalates slowly into high-stakes conflict, which made it a fitting track to conclude the season with a fight between Denji and the Katana Man. I like that there's a certain elegance to it that suits stylized, precise action, fights where every movement counts, and give gravity to that set piece, adding depth to both the visual and the narrative arcs of the fight. While the soundtrack is packed with a lot of grit and distortion, it also knows when to slow things down. It's able to help give a grounded understanding of the characters and their personalities. The tracks are very low-key, but distinct for you to know to relax during the scenes they come up in. These are the songs that play in between the spaces, after the bloodshed, during the introspection, when characters are left to sit with their grief, or fleeting moments of peace. Special Division 4 delves into a more laid-back approach with minimalistic melodies, as it feels like you earn a well-deserved break. The minimalism isn't cold or distant, it feels deliberate, like the music is giving you space. It's less about driving forward and more about taking a break, relaxing and observing. Song of Birthday is a track that's slower paced and whimsical with a looping melody that evokes a sense of nostalgia and playfulness. The title is a reference to Alice in Wonderland, suggesting a celebration of moments outside the usual. This repetitive nature of the track mirrors the constant nature of time and existence, inviting the people involved to find joy in the unexpected. Body is an upbeat yet deeply personal track that feels warm and organic. The track gives a playful human touch, like a quiet conversation between close friends. The layering of the sounds built gently, mirroring how relationships grow naturally over time. There's a comforting sense of love and support throughout, not loud or dramatic, but steady and real. It's a sound of connection, subtle, genuine, and emotionally resonant. Looking for something carries a reflective, introspective tone, blending ambient textures with delicate rhythms that evoke a quiet sense of searching. There's a bittersweet undertone, like reaching out for something you once held dear but can no longer grasp. It feels personal. The track gently invites listeners to sit with that feeling, to explore their own sense of longing, purpose, and the quiet spaces in between. If there's one thing this soundtrack does best, it's tapping into raw, emotional undercurrents without spelling things out. The emotional tracks aren't melodramatic or over the top. Instead, they feel deeply personal, like someone quietly peeling back their layers in a room no one else is in. They give weight to the characters' internal struggles and remind us that behind all the insanity and violence, these are still people just trying to make sense of their lives. Living Room is a contemplative and emotionally resonant piece that subtly captures the quiet complexities of introspection. The track is anchored by a gentle, looping piano motif that feels both intimate and deliberate, evoking a strong sense of solitude and inward reflection. Its minimalist arrangement, marked by the instrumentation and soft dynamics, creates a delicate sonic space where emotion is allowed to linger and breathe. This enhances the mood, emphasizing moments of stillness and vulnerability. The track aligns beautifully with the show's exploration of personal struggles, emotional fragility, and the unspoken weight of everyday life. Each note feels like a quiet confession, inviting the listener into someone's personal space. That's a Dream Come True features an introspective composition, weaving together subtle textures and minimal instrumentation to evoke a profound sense of nostalgia and quiet longing. The track invites listeners into a personal, almost meditative space, where each tone feels intentional and emotionally charged. Its gentle pacing and sparse arrangement creates a floating, weightless feeling, like drifting through memories or revisiting forgotten dreams. The mood is deeply reflective, encouraging a sense of stillness and inner contemplation, as if capturing a fleeting, almost sacred moment of peace. You Are Here incorporates layered sounds of soft, organic textures that builds a calm, lo-fi-like experience, rich with emotional undertones. The track's mellow rhythm and ambient atmosphere suggest a sense of quiet observation, like watching time pass through a window on a rainy day. There's a warmth to the sound that contrasts with its somber undertone, evoking themes of presence, absence, and the passage of time. As the composition evolves, it subtly mirrors the way memories shift and fade, carrying both comfort and melancholy in equal measure. Sweet Dreams presents a more ethereal and otherworldly soundscape, blending soft electronic elements with delicate melodies that feels almost like a lullaby. The atmosphere is eerie and serene, enveloping the listener into a cocoon of tranquility. Its dreamy, ambient layers evoke a floating sensation, like drifting off to sleep or getting lost in our thoughts. There's an emotional softness throughout the track, suggesting themes of escape, healing, and inner calm. The soothing mood makes it ideal for moments of relaxation or quiet introspection, where the mind is free to wander. Not every track fits neatly into a specific category. Some stand out to me simply because of how unique and experimental they are, even if they weren't heavily featured in the anime. These tracks still add something special to the overall soundtrack, and personally, I think they deserve a spotlight. Kick-Ass is a track I both love and hate. I love how it captures the chaotic energy of Chainsaw Man with its upbeat but abrasive electronic beats, glitchy layers, and this totally erratic tempo that builds a sense of hype. It's chaotic in a way that feels both intentional and unhinged, which honestly kinda makes it genius. But at the same time, I hate how it's always featured in the weirdest scenes.
ニャーコを悪魔から取り戻してくれたら胸を揉ませてやると言ったらどうする？
悪魔がよ、猫をよ、さらうなんてよ、デビルハンターとして許せねえ。俺がぶっ殺してやるぜ。
I'm convinced Mappa did this on purpose. The Golden Ballers brings a whimsical and eccentric tone that completely contrasts with the overall dark tone the anime portrays. The playful melodies and unconventional rhythms create this quirky, offbeat vibe that give you a feeling of levity. It adds so much to the soundtrack by showing that even in the absurdity, there are strange, light-hearted moments. He's on the back foot is this weird mixed up grunge, glitches, and warped sounds that feels like being inside someone's head when they're drowning in obsession. I remember this track being used in Aki's promotional character video, and it just perfectly sums up who Aki was and his motivation. It captures that sense of heart tunnel vision, even if it's destroying you and the people around you. There's an emotional exhaustion to the track that feels personal. It's not trying to be dramatic, it just quietly falls apart the longer it plays. And honestly, one of my personal favorites on the soundtrack. The whole album is worth a listen, but here are the few standout tracks to me. Chainsaw Man wouldn't be the same without Kensuke Ushio's soundtrack. It's a soundscape of chaos, dread, and unexpected beauty. It gives so much more feeling into every scene, the fights, the moment of silence, and the few light-hearted moments we got. So if you haven't listened to the Chainsaw Man soundtrack, I highly recommend you give it a listen and let me know how you feel about it. Or if you have also listened to it and wanted to share other tracks you like, or if you just want to talk about it as well, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and take care.